Hi guys, I'm Lauren. Welcome to my channel. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you guys for popping in. Okay, so here I have my Lithops. These poor little guys have been dumped so many times and they blend in really well with these other rocks. This is the Jack's succulent mix. As you can see, they just keep popping out. They need something more for their roots to grip. So I have this mix here, which is the same stuff, but I added sand to it, and these finer sand particles are going to allow it to stand a little bit better in there. Also having sand on top is going to make it so they don't blend in as much. I have literally lost these guys amongst the rocks. It's pretty bad. So I'm just putting the big pieces in the bottom, and then I'm kind of adding the sand towards the top there. So that way there'd be a little bit of a sandy layer in the middle there for these roots to grip onto. And I'm just going to plop these little guys one by one. This is definitely not a tutorial, more like an experiment. I do not know much about Lithops. I have kept these guys since the beginning of the summer, and I'm just doing my best to keep them alive. I've watered them once. So I did order them online as well. I tried to order seeds online, and the seeds were all from supposedly reputable places, but then they ended up not being very reputable. So I don't recommend ordering Lithops seeds unless they come highly recommended by somebody in Lithops. I did get some sand. I did get some sand on these little guys. So I'm just going to gently brush them off. There is like a little air pump thing that you can blow air on these as well, and that'll get it off. I'm just using a very fine makeup brush, and that's getting in the little cracks and whatnot there. I don't want to rinse them off quite yet, just because they don't all need water quite yet. I don't want to kill them. Just kind of trying to make them stand out a little bit. My son keeps trying to steal my scoop, my little 1-year-old. Alright, so I used to have more of these, and I don't know what happened to these. I think there's some actually mixed in with the rocks, and my son has dumped this one a couple of times. You can see they just really blend in. There's actually 2 more in there. Oh, there's one. I don't know if there's another one or not. They just really blend in. So, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm making sure the bigger chunks are in the bottom, so that way the sand is going to mostly stay in the pot. It's just a like horticultural sand, like you would put in reptile cages and whatnot, or reptile tanks. I got it from Walmart. I'll try to link it down below for you. And I'm just going to tuck these little guys right back in here. A chopstick would really help as well. I just lost mine, so I'm just kind of making do with what I have at this point. But just trying to tuck these little guys in there. You don't want too much sticking out. These guys like to live in South Africa amongst the rocks. So they'll try to nestle in between the rocks and blend in with the rocks, and that way it'll keep the little critters from eating them. So. And then what's really cool about these guys is they get markings on them, and they stay with those individual markings their entire lives, so they're each 100% unique. Alright, I'm just gonna pot up some cuttings, so I'm moistening this sphagnum moss here. This first one is my vinca vine. I just took a cutting and popped it in water right when I brought in the other plant in the springtime, in case the other plant didn't make it. And honestly, I wasn't sure if this one was going to make it or not, but it's pushed out roots. It's got new growth right here. Just little teeny tiny baby new growth in the middle there. I am not sure what this plant normally likes, so I'm just going to use sphagnum moss. I'm just going to pot it up in this little pot right here. And then we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. I'll make sure to let you guys know. This is again an experiment. It is not a recommendation. I was pretty thrilled with how this rooted though, and it did not need a node even though I gave it a node just in case, but it didn't end up rooting at the node. It rooted at the very bottom. So that's something interesting to note if you ever want to propagate this plant. And it was just water. I didn't add anything in particular, and I think I only changed the water maybe twice. And ta-da! There we go! Happy Vinca vine! So cute. Okay, I am gonna prop up, or put up, oh my gosh. I'm going to propagate my water cuttings. Some of them are rooted, some of them are not. I just don't want the little water jars to get knocked over with family visiting, and I probably won't have time to refill them. So I'm switching them from water to sphagnum moss, and I'm just taking this finely chopped sphagnum moss and I'm gonna put it in this little takeout container thing. I think it held cookies at one point. And the first propagations up are both peperomia. So this is the peperomia red log, and it didn't root very well in this jar anyway. I kept forgetting to refill it. And then this one is a peperomia napoleonites. It started to put out babies and then I let the water dry out in it, so it wasn't sitting in the water very much. And then this is a spider plant. It's actually rooted really well, but I want to get the other baby attached to the end there to root too. So this is kind of an experiment as well, and I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, we are finally potting up this Ludisia Discolor, this jewel orchid. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Look how beautiful it is. It definitely gives me Mycans vibes. I'm very excited. So I'm going to remove the dead leaves, and then we're going to end up chopping it up. It's also got a death plug in here, so we're going to unpot that and see what's going on with that. I don't imagine the roots are going to look that great. So we'll just get that done. And just, wow, that just popped right out there. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yep, you can see the death plug is all the way around it. There's no roots sticking out of the death plug, but the death plug is pretty attached. This is like a plug cover. Ugh. It basically prevents root growth. They say that it's biodegradable. I kind of talked about it a little bit in another video because my begonia had it as well, but this orchid has it. The orchid roots are a little bit different. Trying to see if that root is rotted. It looks bad, but it doesn't feel mushy or bad, so we'll see. We'll play it by ear. And I am just gonna get some sphagnum moss. This is what I intend to pot the cuttings up in. And I'm still debating on what I'm gonna do with the actual rooted portion. I don't really want to put it back in that soil mix, honestly. So I have my sharp, clean shears here. I'm going to cut this little bit so that I can make room for me to cut here. I am trying to cut in between the nodes. I'm trying to make sure every part has a node, and I'm trying to make sure that there are nodes left over as well. So you can see here, I've got my little helper today, so things are a little jumbled. But I'm trying to just make sure that there's all these nodes. I know they need nodes for the foliage, I just don't know about rooting. So we're going to turn this into 3 pieces here. Those are going to look really pretty potted up. Alright, and I'm just going to get these leaves off of this one. I could probably cut them off, but I don't know if my clippers would do a good job. And you can see some of these, they have nodes and some have no, I'm sorry, some have leaves and some don't have leaves. I'm gonna put the ones that don't have leaves in my prop box, and they're gonna be kind of an experiment. And then the ones that do have leaves, this one has a new leaf coming out, look at that. It's only got the one node on it though, so I don't know if it's gonna root in time to bring out another leaf. Alright, so we've got our wet sticks, and then this has another leaf popping out here as well. For something with no roots, it was actually, well, not no roots, but not a lot of roots. It was actually doing pretty good. Alright, so here's this sphagnum moss. I'm just going to tuck these little guys right down in here and kind of put the sphagnum moss around them. Trying to make them all fit, and then I want to make sure that the nodes are all completely covered by the sphagnum moss, so I'm kind of tucking it in between and around each of them. Just trying to make sure that they stand up and that they can actually root properly. That's the goal. So hopefully each of these will turn into their own little plant. Then I can have lots of it and have a full pot. Alright, and then here you can see I just tucked the little wet stick right in there in the sphagnum moss. And then this I'm going to pot up in sphagnum as well. I'm not going to clean the roots off or anything, just because, I don't know. I don't want to go all the way downstairs and rinse them off and then have to come back up. And then this is just some of that bonsai jack and cut sphagnum and worm castings. And I'm just going to pot it all up in that. Worm castings is a very gentle fertilizer, so I'm really hoping that that's going to make it pretty happy. And I apologize for my voice, I know it's all funky. Alright, so I'm going to tuck this in the greenhouse, and hopefully with enough light on the bottom shelf there, it'll do okay. Keep it in that high humidity. And then last but not least, I'm just gonna tuck this in my terrarium. Let's see if there's a good spot in here. I'm just gonna leave it in the pot. I'm not gonna actually plant it in the terrarium. I'm just gonna plop it in here really quick.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Bye!